right, hello everyone, and welcome to the live Ben Vining Twitch exclusive streaming broadcast network. Okay, so this stream is the first of my kind of like more talk show oriented streams. I wanted to do two different kinds of episodes. Um, on my Twitch channel, those that kind of showcase my music with like gameplay in the background, and then ones where I'm just kind of chatting about relevant subjects. And some of you may be thinking, well, kind of how does this relate to like your content as a musician? And uh, I think that music is actually quite political. My music is quite political in terms of what it means to me and what it means to just kind of people who consume music. For example, Spotify. You may have seen there was kind of a viral article a few months ago, or maybe even just a month ago. Time seems irrelevant in 2020. But the Spotify CEO, this millionaire, was telling artists that if they want to earn their income, they need to put out music regularly, and that it's kind of not Spotify's problem if they're not making enough income from streaming during the pandemic. Because for any of you who are not artists, I don't know if you know this, but the way the music industry has worked for a really long time is that artists don't make anything from streaming. The vast majority of an artist's income typically comes from merchandise sales, touring, live concerts, um, and then like physical copies, albums, things like that. And so merch is still going for the most part. And some artists have seen their fan bases kind of rally around their merch campaigns and really try to promote those, which is great. But if you think about it, that really kind of just puts the financial onus of supporting these artists on the consumers as individuals, because supposedly these people who are in these fan bases are all listening to this music anyway, right? If they're fans of these artists, that means that they're listening to them frequently on Spotify, probably on other platforms. And so why are we saying to these people who already support these artists and consume these artists' products, and we're saying to these people, if you really want these artists to make money off of you, then you need to go buy a $45 sweatshirt or hoodie or some kind of merchandise, because if you don't, they're not really making any money off of the support that you're already giving them and the time that you're spending on streaming services like Spotify. And so where this becomes a political issue is in that discussion of what kind of responsibility does Spotify have to artists and to pay artists? And the other side of that coin is Spotify's accessibility to artists. In fact, I kind of had a little run-in with this earlier today myself. So I I started a podcast recently, as I've been talking about, kind of in combination with this Twitch channel. But basically, I wanted to just kind of do little DJ sets. And my idea was that each episode of this podcast would be a DJ set. That seemed logical to me, right? That seems like it is an idea that makes sense to me, at least. And so I used this little kind of this website called Red Circle to distribute. It's an aggregator website that you can use for podcasts, and it makes it really easy to just upload your stuff to Red Circle, and then it sends it to Spotify and to Apple Podcasts and to other ones I can't remember right now. But the point is, multiple distribution sources. And so my podcast, there's 2 episodes out, and they're live on all the other services, on Apple Podcast and the other nameless ones. And they were on Spotify for about like maybe 4 or 5 days, and I had listened to them on Spotify, and I went into my Spotify today to look at them again, and it said Spotify cannot play this. And I thought, oh no. And I did a little searching and I discovered some other podcasters that had encountered this issue. And here's the statement from Spotify. It says, "We have removed your podcast from Spotify for podcasters. Spotify for podcasters isn't intended to be used as a music distribution tool, regardless of the licensing state of your music." So they're saying, even if you have it's completely original music that you have all the rights to and that you have created, you're not allowed to distribute it in podcast form because that's not what it's intended for. Well, okay, I guess Spotify has the right to make the rules of their own platform. Let's keep reading. Next, they say, in an effort to enable all creative artists the opportunity to live off their art, creators who wish to share their music on Spotify should use a music distributor. So they're trying to frame this as somehow it makes it easier for all artists to live off their art by not allowing musicians to distribute their music in podcast form if they so choose. Now, I should note here, I do have music on Spotify and an artist profile. I just chose to distribute a podcast for my DJ sets because I thought that that made more sense. I didn't want to just make kind of like a giant album of them, or just release them all as singles and put them in a playlist or something. That didn't make as much sense to me as trying to distribute it in podcast form. And so Spotify is saying that somehow it's supposed to make it easier for me to live off my art by the fact that I'm not allowed to do that. Okay? So I don't understand how that makes any sense. And also, I would like to point out that Spotify Podcasts is one of the only free ways of getting your content on Spotify. So again, for any of you who aren't artists, I don't know if you know this, but Spotify is kind of like a closed club. You can't just like upload something and then it's on there. You have to go through a third-party distributor, and there's like this entire cottage industry of companies that's what they do. They get paid by artists to take these artists' music and give it to Spotify and to iTunes and Deezer and all these other streaming services, and almost all of these require a fee. For example, CD Baby I think is something like $45 to distribute an album, right? And the service that I use is SoundCloud distribution, which is included with a SoundCloud Pro monthly subscription, right? So I get to use that, but only because I pay $16 a month. And again, sure, that's not the most prohibitive amount of money in the world, but it is a barrier, right? If you are living paycheck to paycheck and music is kind of your passion that you return to at the end of the day, but you don't have any extra cash to spend on your music, you really don't have a lot of options if you want to be able to get on the major streaming services. Like, yes, you can have a YouTube channel, you can have a SoundCloud, you can have a Twitch, but all three of those services have major problems with discoverability. Twitch in particular, no one's watching me because nobody knows that I'm here because I'm so far down on a list. Only people like Hasanavi and Vaush and, those are the kind of streamers that are going to show up on the main page, not anybody who does not already have an audience who knows where to go and find them. And to some degree, that's true on Spotify too. It's not like just getting listed on Spotify is the key to success or anything. But it does lend a veneer of legitimacy and credibility to you as a music artist. I will say that much because for myself, I think that was kind of a major milestone, was being able to actually open the Spotify app on my phone and see my music on there, and all of us as musicians, we work hard to make something that we're proud of. And I think that all of us should have the opportunity to have a nice place to showcase it and say, like, yes, you are good enough to be included with everyone else. And, because art should not only be considered legitimate and, quote unquote, good enough if it's made by people with enough money to purchase the ability to put it on Spotify. And for anybody saying, how does Spotify supposed to make their money? Well, the way they make their money is off of the content that is already on Spotify. That's what I was talking about a minute ago, is that Spotify does not pay their artists a lot. Now, so not only are they making money off of these artists' content and not giving them really anything for it, thousandths of a cent per play, not only are they making the lion's share of the money off of the content on their platform, but they are also charging fees to the artists for the privilege of being listed on their platform. So really, if you think about it that way, it's hard to see it as anything other than taking advantage of artists and kind of holding them hostage, because you can't really be a major artist and not be on Spotify. They have the market kind of in a vice lock right now, and that's why they don't really need to try and appease the artists, because what are artists going to do? Unionize? We could. Collectivize? We could. Personally, I believe that all streaming revenues made from an artist's music should go to that artist. But what do I know? I'm crazy, right? So that's Spotify. That's topic number 1 for today. But music is a very political topic, in more ways than one. And, not all music that is political has lyrics about politics. That's another important point here, because, I think that some people think that, for art to be political, it has to have an overt, be lyrics about Black Lives Matter or, supporting Trump or whatever. But I just think that the existence of a lot of art is political, and the existence of artists in certain spaces is political. I can think of at least one instance where just the title of a work elicited very strong reactions from people. There's a composer named Daniel Bernard Romain, who I follow his career, and I follow him on Facebook. And a few days ago, he announced a new commission for some symphony orchestra in the Northeast. I can't remember exactly which one, but it was a commission for a new piece. And the title of the piece was I blank Black people. And the blank is just a line, I Black people. And the reason why, and Daniel Bernard Romain is Haitian. He's a Black person. And the reason why he named his piece this is because he wanted the audience to fill in the blank in their minds and see what kind of reaction it elicited. And when he posted about this on his Facebook, somebody, an older white man, went on there and commented, well, you just hate white people and this and that, and kind of a little rant of racism, really. But the point is that Daniel's plan worked. The title of his piece was enough to elicit that strong of a reaction. And this person who was going on this rant hadn't even heard the music yet. The piece hasn't been written. But just the title of it, and the fact that an orchestra was paying somebody to write that piece, a Black man to write that piece, was enough to make this person angry enough to publicly go on a rant and essentially kind of risk his career, right? Because this person is an orchestral musician attacking another orchestral musician who is friends with lots of boards of directors of orchestras and things like that. And just the title of this piece was enough for him to want to take that bold of a stand publicly. And I think that that's kind of incredible, actually. And so to transition a little bit, this is not the same thing, but I think that it's a similar topic. My upcoming album, Introspectralism, this is the cover. Can you see that? It's a little bit distorted on my webcam, but the cover is a photo of me that is PG rated, but I don't have any clothes on. But my legs are, you can't see anything. But the reason why I decided to use that as the cover art for this album is because it's kind of an open-ended question to the audience. I think that this album for me is about two things. I think that it's about visibility and vulnerability. Because as I was saying, I really do think that for a lot of queer artists like myself, even if we're not loudly screaming about any particular issue or loudly pushing for reform in any, even if we're not talking about that stuff, I think that for a lot of us, just existing at all as ourselves it comes with a lot of societal strings attached, right? Because there's always that question of who is going to react to this in a positive way, in a negative way. And so this album is not overtly political. It is instrumental. There's no lyrics talking about policy or who to support or not support. It's instrumental music, and it's very ambient and deconstructive and meditative. And I think that it is political in the sense of this is me as a queer electronic musician trying to express who I am in this space. Because if you look at a lot of the most popular DJs right now who are playing festivals and who are putting out, club bangers and things like that, it's a space that has historically and has still been very dominated by straight white men who are usually cis. And it also, I think that this culture and subculture has a lot of connections to the sexualization of women, with like Japanese anime girls and that whole, I think that there's a connection there. And so for me, I'm saying not only am I not any of those things, I'm not cis, I'm not straight. Yes, I am white. But not only am I not cis and I'm not straight, but I'm not sexualizing women because I'm choosing to present myself in that way on my album cover, right? It's not supposed to be sexual. It's just supposed to be vulnerable. And I think that I'm almost trying to preempt criticism because I'm saying that, not only am I going to tell the world what I have to say, but I'm going to do it while showing you my most vulnerable self. And I think that there's a strength for me in that. So yeah, that's kind of how my album fits into the socio-political kind of sphere right now. Like I said, the music itself is very ambient and kind of meditative. The music itself is not overtly political, but the song titles are. I thought it would be cool if this, like, there was an album where like the title of each song, the title of each song was a line in a poem, and so that is the song titles make a poem, and I'll read it for you. Introspectralism. In God's eyes, a planet to save, to cleanse with electric rain. In the tongues of men, a land to claim, to mine, to harvest, to drain. In mourning, a hope, a chance to survive in memory, the last breath of a dying world. And each one of those lines is a song in the album. And so there's 9 tracks, and it's kind of divided into 3 sections. The first section is kind of themed on God. In God's eyes, a planet to save, to cleanse with electric rain. The next section is about humans. In the tongues of men, a land to claim, to mine, to harvest, to drain. And the final section I'm calling nature. In mourning, a hope, a chance to survive a memory, the last breath of a dying world. And so I think that it's meant to be a little bit just kind of poetically abstract, but it definitely does touch on themes of colonialism and imperialism. I definitely recognize the fact that any kind of creation of music does not happen outside of the economy in which the artist is situated and currently living. And I'm living in America, which means that my laptop, my microphone, the different electronic, my phone, everything that I use in my day-to-day life to create this music is a product of American imperialism and is a product of essentially like the white supremacy that continues to fuel this nation and our economy via the exploitation of the global South. And so I did want to acknowledge that in this poem. I really the song that's called "In the Tongues of Men" I really think should be called "In the Tongues of White Men," but that didn't really fit as poetically well. So I'll just say that now in this stream. But to me, what it means is that I think that what endures beyond even, the extent of the American empire itself is the cultural memory of the human race. Because I think that, and that doesn't mean that my work is supposed to be what endures. I'm just making a statement that something will, really. And I think that likely it would be non-Western cultures because typically they have endured the most and have traditions based around passing down auditory histories and musics and anyway, but I'm kind of digressing. The point of the poem that makes up the album, it seeks to acknowledge. I don't know if you can hear my dog barking in the background. That's why it's hard for me to focus right now. The point of the poem is just kind of seeking to acknowledge that time is infinite and humans are such an infinitesimal speck in the grand scheme of things. And even more so than that, the humans that have succeeded the most in exploiting others and essentially destroying the world for their profit, those humans, Europeans, white people, Americans, those humans are an even smaller speck. And the struggle that we are up against in our day-to-day lives, just existing and surviving in this political climate that keeps existential dread hanging over us constantly, that struggle in our everyday lives sometimes seems so insurmountable, and to me as well. And sometimes it's hard to justify, even to myself, why I continue to make music. This election on Tuesday coming up, regardless of who wins, I think it's very likely that the U.S. will go into a period of prolonged domestic violence resembling an insurgency similar to that which we saw in Libya and Syria, maybe even elements of the Colombian Civil War. But my point is, sometimes art seems futile to me, and I'm sure to others of you out there, especially if you are artists. I'm sure we've all had those days where we just can't find a reason why it seems worth it to continue creating. And I think that for me, this album is kind of what happened when I resigned myself to the fact that sound is out there and will continue regardless of regardless of if it is me who is channeling and shaping it or not. And I just wanted to try to capture the idea that it's okay to not be okay, because, you know, if I feel like I'm just speaking in longer and longer sentences, saying the same thing over and over again. So I should probably just stop while I'm ahead. I think you get the idea of what I'm talking about. But I just want to read the poem one more time, just because I've talked so much about it. So the album is called Introspectralism, which is a combination of introspective, kind of looking inward, and spectralism, which is a concept in music composition and in electronic music that talks about like using various spectra, like a frequency spectrum or a rhythmic spectrum, or like even something like the decibel scale is a spectrum of possible values, like taking some kind of spectra and just imposing it on a sound and convoluting it with a sound and then seeing what comes out. So introspectralism is a combination of introspective and spectralism. And here's the poem. Introspectralism. In God's eyes, a world to save, to cleanse with electric rain. In the tongues of men, a land to claim, to mine, to harvest, to drain. In mourning, a hope, a chance to survive in memory, the last breath of a dying world. My album will be out soon. It will, of course, be free on my SoundCloud profile when it does come out. I always want my music to be free to listen to. I don't want people's only option to be interacting with it as a commodity. But if you do wish to purchase it, pre-orders are now available at benvani.com. Your support is greatly appreciated. Yeah, I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to talk about today. I just kind of wanted to give everyone a basis for where I'm coming from in terms of discussing politics and like the world through the lens of music and art as a queer artist. And so in future episodes, I'm going to be breaking down some more complex topics and getting into some more nitty-gritty political discussions in my talk episodes. Mondays will still just be music and chess and mahjong, but Thursdays will be more of this, chatting and discussing and breaking down. So I hope that I didn't bore you to death. And if you enjoyed what you were watching today, please don't forget to subscribe to my Twitch channel for more stuff like this. So yeah, thank you for joining me, everyone. And I will see you all on Monday for my next stream, which will be my DJ set, my takes on my faves. It's much more classic EDM than I have done in the past. So it'll be a little bit of something new for anybody that has listened to like the rest of my music that's out, which I know is none of you anyway, but I might as well say that. So yeah, have a great Thursday night, everyone, and thanks for watching.